know that you met Jess Bell and you had a friendly relationship with him for a while, and I believe eventually you wrote a manual for his department. And he was from AT&T, and T, and although it seems as though there was a chance that you might have known Arthur Page, you never really overlapped
No,
your
Arthur
time there.
Page retired from AT&T Company right after the war, roughly 1946 or 7 or something like that. And it was in January of 1955 that after I left CBS, that I began working for the AT&T Company as a consultant. And the way it happened was Jesse G. Bell, was a member of the public relations department at the AT&T Company, and he said to me one day, he said, "We're building this television network for you guys. We don't know anything about how you're using it. Could you tell us and help us? Let us understand what you're doing." Well, he was a fatherly type of a fellow. He had been with the company many years, and he was very nice to me. And I began showing him around and showing him some of the problems that we were having at television. And he began using me as an advisor to the AT&T company. He would have me meet some of the senior people, the chairman, the president, and I would answer their questions. And then finally, I think it was, my recollection is September of '55, he asked me to write a manual for them, and it was called Telephone News on Television. And it was how you could tell the telephone story using this new medium that they were actually physically building for the networks. And that turned out to be, it was copyrighted by AT&T in 1955, and it became the first corporate manual in existence of using public relations techniques for a corporation on television. I worked with the AT&T chairman and president for 33 years until the day I retired in 1988. It was I believe, the longest continuing relationship with any supplier they had had ever. And the extraordinary thing to me, Cinda, was that in all those 33 years, I never had a contract with them, never had a piece of paper with them, nothing. The chairman or the president would call me up and say, "Hey, we got a problem we'd like to talk to you about. Come on down." And we'd go down and talk and discuss whatever it was. And at the end of the month, I'd send them a bill for the time, and they never questioned it, just paid it. And that went on that way for 33 years, which was pretty extraordinary. And I would say my self-perception may not be the way they would see me, but my self-perception was that the real value that I had to the AT&T company was not that I knew television, but that I had learned the telephone business intimately, so thoroughly, very, very thoroughly. I knew what their problems were in great depth. I remember many a time, for instance, in those days when they were cutting over to the new electronic central offices, I would be in the office at midnight when they went out there to make the switch. There was so much that I knew in great depth about the business, and that's something I had learned in public relations when I had to learn how to ask questions and learn the value of knowing a business. See, I think that public relations people working for a corporation who are really expert in public relations but have a superficial knowledge of their own businesses, I think they're handicapping themselves. I mean, I used to go out with installers, I used to go out with service people just to get a sense of what it was like, what they were doing. And it was invaluable because in many cases I found I knew more about the business than the particular person that I was working with at first hand. That's
Wow.
what I was really proud of.
When you hired those individuals, what things were you looking for?
Well, first of all, I didn't hire them. They were all partners. Most of them, as I recall, had ownership in the firm with me. They were really my partners.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Jim Arnold, Ed Gottlieb, some of the others, Jim Lukachevsky, they were pretty senior people. And what I sought, first of all, was I would say, an openness and an integrity that that they had credibility, they were trustworthy, and that they had a lot of good judgment and experience, and they were not know-it-alls or self-important. They were all, they could talk quietly from experience rather than boasting how good they were.